and welcome back to Lorehammer. I'm your host, Mark, and today we got a fun, exciting episode of Part 2, Ferrus Manus. Does he keep his head in this episode? Does he keep his cool? We'll find out. We got a nice circle jerk panel. Joining me today, we got Christian.
Hey, everybody. I am honored to be brought back to the circle jerk. I hope to bring my old metal fingers to the group.
Yeah, that's why you were brought here. We specifically like the cold, clammy almost, but not quite. It's just cold steel hands that you bring. We also have joining us Jordan. Yo. What are you bringing to the jerk?
Just my soft, supple lips.
Moisturized fingers.
Welcome aboard. Happy to have you. And we also got Fuzz. Hey, you ready to talk some 40K and not just about that kind of head?
I am. We're ready to jerk the circle and see just how weak the flesh is.
Oh, God. I don't like any of that.
I hate this already.
Yeah, well, welcome to Lorehammer. Yeah, like I said, we're doing Ferrus Manus today. We're doing another Primarch episode. We had Jordan and Christian on the first one, and the three of us were kind of like lackluster with the whole deal. Like, yeah, he's cool, but he didn't like speak to us, you know? It wasn't our vibe. So I brought on Fuzz, and maybe he can bring some energy to this episode and some passion.
I will do my okayest.
Yeah, well, that's more than I'm paying you for, because I'm not even paying you. So, like, that's pretty good in my mind. Yeah, let's do some quick housekeeping before we get into this episode. We got some stuff.
Yeah, so we've got a Discord. You can usually find the link to it in the show notes. There's obviously a good bit of activity. There's a lot of us there showing off miniature painting, talking lore, playing video games, all sorts of stuff, 40K related and not.
Yeah, I just posted a Carnifex Lictor crossover model in the work in progress chat. I've been picking up a paintbrush again the last couple of days, so that's been pretty fun. The Lictorfex or Carlictor, people were calling it, but you know, that's another.
Lictorfex, all right.
Yes, you did. Come join the Discord. Yeah, like Fuzz says, lots of fun stuff there.
And if you're so inclined, join the Patreon, join the Imperial Tithe, support the show. Gets you ad-free version for only $2.50 and video version for $5. So you can see all our beautiful mugs.
Yep, and if you are a supporter of the show, you can also jump in on the live stream. We have a live chat room during the show, and we also do call-in guests at the end of the episode, so you can be not just a observer, but a participant.
In a circle jerk.
Yes.
Yeah. Purge says, is this a Slanish episode? And no, it's just four dudes enjoying each other's strength, as Ferrus Manus would want. Well, this episode, we're going to do a quick recap of what we kind of covered in the last one. There's some cool stuff. I want to really focus on the myth of the Iron Hands again. I feel like we need to go back because that's the coolest part about it. I mean, I don't know. I feel like I kind of glossed over it. We'll go back to it, kind of cover it a little bit more, and then we'll dive into the Horus Heresy, starting with the drop site massacre, and then no spoilers what happens after that, I think, in my show notes. Because... you know, I know, but it's fine. It's fine. It's still a secret for now. It's fine. Some people don't. So, yeah, we can just kind of get into it and kind of recap what Ferrus Manus is all about.
All right, let's do a recap. In the fires of the Great Crusade, the Emperor of Mankind strode across the stars as a figure of unyielding purpose, his mind a lattice of steel and calculation, seeking to bind a fractured galaxy beneath the mantle of order. The Emperor's genius were born the Primarchs, each living embodiment of his will, each forged to perfection, yet flawed in ways that the Father could not foresee. They led the legions of Astartes like hammers upon anvils, sweeping through star systems, remaking worlds in the image of the Imperium. Glory and blood were measured in equal weight, for the crusade demanded both, and each victory came with the quiet toll of lives sacrificed and innocence lost. Even as mankind expanded, the shadow of hubris and fate stretched along, for these sons of the Emperor, near divine, were mortal in spirit, and the seeds of heresy, ambition, and sorrow were already sown within their hearts.
Yeah, it just seems like no matter what you do, nothing can be perfect. Even in 40K, when you clone things, weird oddities happen, like it's like bad luck or something, or if you just make stuff out of nothing, like what kind of happened with the Primarchs. Yeah, they used a little bit of the Emperor's DNA. Yeah, they used a little bit of Arda's DNA or whatever, but like it's still, these are abominational Primarchs. You know, they're not real people, and yeah, they kind of still suffer the same flaws, though, if not even worse than real people do.
Yeah, there. It's just a warning. Don't mess with warp magic, man. How many times do I have to repeat this lesson?
Don't do it.
Warp magic, alchemy, none of that.
Not even once.
All right. So going back to the home world of Ferrus Manus, Medusa, it was the anvil upon which Ferrus Manus was forged. An unforgiving world of shifting stone and grinding ice, where survival was an act of perpetual labor. Its mountains rose and fell with tectonic violence. Its skies churned with storms of iron dust, and its people lived and died by the machine. From its cruel landscape, Ferrus drew strength and purpose. Its harshness taught him that endurance was virtue, and that only strength through struggle could anything be of worth be made. Sounds like a fun place to vacation.
Yeah. We find out they got some cool cities there, though, like these driving cities. So it's a mobile vacation. It's like a land cruise, essentially.
Right. Never-ending road trip. It's great.
Never-ending road trip. Yeah.
Just have to make sure you're not there during mountain season when the mountains are crashing against each other.
Yeah, it's not a good planet. Yeah, only a couple Primarchs found a nice little spot. The rest ended up on shitholes like this, where they're just, yeah, how does anything survive?
Right. So Ferrus Manus, the Gorgon, was both creator and destroyer, an artisan of divine precision, a warrior of unstoppable will. He saw existence as a forge, every challenge a hammer blow shaping the soul into something stronger. Yet within that strength lay tragedy, for the same fire that made him unbreakable also left him incapable of yielding even to those he loved. His life was a hymn to the perfection of discipline, and his death the final toll of the Iron Creed. And where my hand shall strike, the foes of mankind shall be laid waste. So shall I be the hammer of the Emperor, and I shall never tire. Which is a quote attributed to Ferrus Manus before the Battle of Karamatic.
Yeah. That's a good quote. I like that one because it kind of, he's talking about himself. We get lots of quotes of other Primarchs talking about him, and we get a nice like philosophy quote from Ferrus Manus eventually. But this one, it's like he's often described as like the Emperor's war machine. Like he's designed only kind of to grind forward and do war. Like he doesn't have the building aspect of like Porto Rabo or Rogaldor, and he doesn't have anything else really fancy about him. He's just like a general that is doing war.
Yeah, and I like this quote. It really he understands that he is a tool of the Emperor, and he is happy to be used. Is what it feels like.
Yeah, exactly. Which is kind of a different vibe than a lot of Primarchs. Obviously, half of them kind of have some daddy issues there, but yeah, he's okay with this lot in life. He's like, I'm a general, I'm a soldier, I'm just gonna grind forward.
Yeah, like what he does make things, but what it seems like the things that he makes are all for killing.
Yeah.
It kind of really puts him in contrast. It puts him a lot in contrast with Perturabo, who has a very similar vibe of like that grinding forward, but his whole thing is he resents that fate. He was put in that place, but he hates it.
He's a unique little snowflake who.
Yes.
Yeah. Ferrus Manus was discovered, I think we said in the like he was the fourth one. Like he's definitely the top 5. I think we said the fourth. So he was around for a long time, and like and had good relationships with like a lot of different Primarchs and stuff. And even just being that close to the Emperor at the beginning would probably help a lot. Like where Porto Rabo didn't get to fight alongside the Emperor, and build that kind of bond a little bit. He kind of just got sent to the slop, where at least Ferrus Manus got a little bit of bonding time with Daddy before he kind of went off. So let's talk about his iron hands and the mythos. Like I always talk about 40k mythos and the Horus Heresy, and this has always been a classic one. The story of slaying a dragon. So let's give it to you one more time. Azernoth was a creature of nightmare that Ferrus Manus faced upon the shattered surface of his homeworld, Medusa, long before the Emperor's arrival. Tales of the battle endured in many chronicles, yet none echo the weight of this encounter. The confrontation with the great silver worm occurred in the legendary Land of Shadows, a region of ceaseless gloom even by Medusan standards, where the thick clouds of poison air blotted out the sun. Among the darkened wastes stood colossal relics of metal and stone, remnants of civilizations long vanished, their purpose lost to time. From these ruins, it is clear that Medusa bore life before the one Ferrus Manus knew, and the legend whispers that the spirits of ancient clans still linger there. Though whether this is true afterlife, or the imaginations of men is unknown. The Canticles of Travels recounts that Ferrus Manus pursued the beast relentlessly for days, stalking it across the ash-choked plains and blackened seas until the moment of reckoning. He struck with his fist wrought of iron and will, yet the worm's hide remained unyielding. For days the struggle endured, blow for blow, neither man nor monster yielding. At last, Ferrus Manus forced the creature beneath a river of molten rock, and there he held it under the living metal, its body melted around his hands. The agony burned like fire through flesh, yet he did not falter. When he withdrew his hands, they were transformed, flexible as sinew, yet harder than ceramite, becoming the first of the iron hands that would define the Primarch of Medusa. Yeah, pretty cool story. We talked about last time what this creature could have been. Most people relate it to some type of Necron, maybe the Void Dragon, possibly. Like that would kind of add to Ferrus Manus' ability with technology as well as the Iron Hand. So it's kind of like that dual purpose. And when I was rewriting this, I read this little bit about this. I'll read the line again. Among the darkened waste stood colossal relics of metal and stone. And it's just another little thing like, oh man, are those like Necron pyramids and stuff? Like, maybe they're just human remnants, but
Yeah,
I always love like ancient alien backstories. They're always fun.
That's what this is.
And on some of these worlds, the humans are the ancient aliens, like from before the Age of Strife.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, I love that story. Like, it's one of the classic myths of 40k. Like it's been around for so long. It's just great, man. He fights a dragon, gets metal hands, he gets new abilities. And now, he's transformed. We have this quote about his metal hands later that we'll share. And it's one of the best quotes I've read from 40k in a long time. Like whoever wrote it, that author really kind of nailed it.
Yeah, and what a way to kill a dragon too. Shove his head under lava.
Yeah, and it describes he feels his hands burning and searing, and he's like, just keeps going.
So the personality of Ferrus Manus, and this is another quote, but not from him. And of them, Manus was the key, implacable, unshakable. If he was at your side, he would never break. And that is a quote from Robert Gilliman about Ferrus Manus. Ferrus Manus embodied the relentless order of all. I'll start that over. Ferrus Manus embodied the relentless order of the machine, valuing logic, mastery, and endurance above all. Emotion to him was weakness, and impurity to be smelted out through labor and will. Yet beneath the cold surface there existed a rare and hidden compassion, expressed not through words, but through the perfection of his craft and the protection of those who proved themselves worthy. His heart beat like a piston, steady, tireless, and bound to purpose.
Dude, does that just speak to you as a blacksmith or what? Are you like gonna, after this episode, go make a knife or something?
I actually just finished one. I've got a couple other projects that I'm working on to finish up for people. But yeah, like just relentless, just like working one hammer blow at a time towards your end goal. Absolutely.
Yeah, like few things seem as manly as that action of just smashing metal on metal and forging like raw materials, man. Like I was watching you live stream doing some forging. It's just so cool.
I'll do it again. So yeah, it's addictive. If anyone ever gets the chance, like you can find blacksmithing classes around, but just go hit some hot metal. It's very cathartic. Like it's just a good release of stress at the very least.
Many years ago, my boy Christian tried to convince me to take blacksmithing classes at the local university with him. Didn't happen.
Yeah, I wish it did. I don't offer the classes anymore.
You could build your own forge out there in Panama.
Yeah,
you could start it yourself.
Yeah. Make a Panamanian work it for me.
That's what the kids are for.
Oh yeah.
So, do we go into this quote from Ferrus Manus?
Yeah, this is that great quote.
Mark just hated being in a room full of hot, sweaty men smashing metal on.
Oh, there's nothing like it.
Nothing like it.
All right. So, they are not my hands. This fact is forgotten by my brothers. Inexplicably, it has always seemed to me. The hands are strong, to be sure, and have created great things for us all. But they are not mine, and that counts for something. They forget that the silver on my arms comes from a beast that I vanquished. It is the mark of a great evil that I ended, and yet it persists within me. I would struggle to remove it now. I will not remove the silver from my flesh because I have learned to depend on it. The fault is with my mind. I rely on the augmentation given to me by my metal gauntlets, so much so that the flesh beneath them is now little more than a distant memory. A day will come when I will strip it from me, lest I lose the power to master myself forever. Already my legion's warriors replace their shield hands with metal in my honor, and so they too are learning to doubt the natural strength of their bodies. They must be weaned off this practice before it becomes a mania for them. Hatred of what is natural, of what is human, is the first and greatest of the corruptions. So I record it here. When the time comes, I will strip my hands of their unnatural silver. I will instruct my legion to recant their distrust of the flesh. I will turn them away from the gifts of the machine and bid them relearn the mysteries of flesh, bone, and blood. When my father's crusade is over, this shall be my sacred task. When the fighting is done, I shall cure my legion and myself. For if fighting is all there is, if we may never pause to reflect on what such devotion to strength is doing to us, then our compulsion will only grow. And that was written by him on the Nemerel Scrolls.
Yeah, what a quote, man. Like, with a lot of the Primarchs and their legions, it's clearly like father like son. You know, you show Layman Wolf the Space Wolves, and he's like, yeah, you guys like wolves too? Fucking all right. But, with Ferrus Manus, he's like, no, this is not what I wanted, man. Like, this is a weakness. Like, you guys are cutting off your flesh. The flesh is actually stronger than this metal. Like, we need to rely on ourselves, our own will, our own power. Like, it's this very interesting, like, duality. I don't fucking know what the word is, but
it's like kind of the antithesis of what he wants. Like, they're unintentionally going against, what their Primarch's wishes would be.
Yeah, like I wonder if you would have asked Ferrus Manus, like, okay, so you're gonna kill this dragon, you're gonna get these hands, blessing and a curse. Are you still gonna kill this dragon? What would he do? I wonder. Like, it almost sounds like he might not.
Yeah, there is almost something like a religious quality to his philosophy as well. Just like the purifying yourself through fighting and forging and like constantly working nonstop till your soul is completely pure and good. It's almost like a sacrament that he's engaging in.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's a sacrament of steel.
I like that. Yes.
It's very much so the my body is my temple kind of vibe.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. What a
Just
great
more hard
quote.
men lifting iron.
That's right.
Very Iron Man. Yeah. Iron hands. All right. Let's get into Ferrus Manus's appearance. Ferrus Manus was a figure of myth and industry, his form immense and wrought with unnatural strength. His flesh gleamed with a metallic sheen, his hands forged of living silver, gifts and burdens from his battle with the great worm of Medusa. The light played coldly on his skin, reflecting his inner nature. Beautiful in precision, terrible in purpose, his presence carried the weight of inevitability, as if even the stars would bend beneath his will.
Yeah, pretty cool. Just a big burly man.
Who do you think is the most imposing Primarch? Would it be Ferrus Manus or someone else?
Vulcan is said to be the strongest, and if they're in the largest category, the only ones being bigger would be like what's his name?
Magnus the Red.
Magnus
Oh,
Red. Yeah. But he often would manipulate like his body with magic to look bigger.
Yeah, that's true. So was he really the biggest? But yeah, like that was gonna be my answer, was Magnus, the most intimidating. Like you see this giant red monster who's even taller than tall Primarchs, and he's got a third eye sometimes. Sometimes it's metaphorical, but either way, man, he's a giant red beast of a man.
Perhaps, but my only thing on that would be there's something just so mechanical and emotionless about Ferrus Manus that in and of itself, like the lifeless eyes as he's just slaughtering you, and like other Space Marine chapters might like revel and have a lot of emotion as they're killing, but the Iron Fist, I picture them as like being more just emotionless and just like machines killing you, which can also like be more scary. Like if you're caught in like a wood chipper or something, right? Like a machine is just grinding you.
Yeah.
It's
indifferent to your screams.
Yeah, the fear of that is like almost to me almost a different kind of fear, but
yeah.
just
Okay,
a thought.
that's fun. Yeah, for sure. I like that thought.
Yeah.
Because it depends what you're scared of.
Yeah.
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 Purge has a fun
It gives
little
strong
thought there.
Necron vibes, you know, that like faceless emotional slaughter.
Yeah.
Purge has a fun thought there. Kind of weird he didn't make the Saturnine Dreadnought in Terminator armor. Instead, it was Vulcan. He also says is he the tech marine of the Primarchs? My thought on that is like he's not a creative type, as we're kind of saying with this. Like he's cold. He doesn't have that spark of passion to be creative. Like, yes, he can build an awesome hammer that's gonna crush skulls, but that has already been invented. He's just now masters that technology, you know. So he's not the creator.
Yeah. All right, let's get into his war gear. It was as much a part of him as bone and blood, crafted with the precision of a god and the reverence of a smith. The Warhammer Forge Breaker embodied his philosophy: strength without hesitation, power without ornament. Each weapon, each plate of armor bore the mark of his hand, functional, unadorned, and absolute. In Ferrus Manus's forge, there is no artistry for its own sake. Beauty was born only from efficiency and purpose.
Yeah, and that kind of really sums up what you're saying. It's cold and passionate and functional.
Yeah, I was just saying the last section, like yeah, he's always struck me as a very function over form kind of guy, which can have its own like beauty to it. You know, because like say like with armor, you'll have sometimes these like sweeping lines and ridges, but they also do serve functions for like deflecting blows against, you know, away from you and stuff. So yeah, that like beauty in efficiency.
Yeah. Yeah, no waste.
Yeah, exactly. No wasted materials, no wasted lines, no wasted movements.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. we are hearing from Christian that he is having some internet difficulties, been a little bit of a lag here. So he is going to bounce, but he's going to say goodbye real quick, and then we'll carry on with this episode. But I'll see you when you see you, homie. There's
Sorry,
that lag,
guys. Sorry
5
to lose
seconds
my
later.
cool, lose my head, as some would say.
Get out, get out. No, we can't have. He's stealing my jokes. We can't have that.
Too soon.
Too soon. All right, well, the three of us, we can carry on. That's fine. We'll jump into the Iron Hands next, give you a little recap on those guys. The Iron Hands mirrored their Primarch in all things, unyielding, methodical, and merciless in the pursuit of perfection. They saw weakness as a contagion, flesh as imperfection, and discipline as salvation. Under Ferrus Manus, they were not merely warriors, but instruments of correction, seeking to purge weakness from themselves and from mankind. When their father fell, they did not cry out. They hardened further, becoming iron without mercy, memory, or reprieve. Yeah, fun times for them. They go hard.
Yeah. I had read something about them. Not going to go into it because to get to the Iron Hands episodes, but yeah, that hardening of themselves and really sunk into their philosophy as like a legion and a chapter after that.
Yeah.
All right. So during the Great Crusade, Ferrus Manus and his legion were the Emperor's blacksmiths of conquest, reforging worlds through precision and strength. Where others waged war for glory or liberation, the Iron Hands waged it for function, seeking to impose order upon the chaos of the stars. Each victory was another spark in the grand forge of the Imperium, another blow struck against entropy. Yet for Ferrus, the crusade was not triumph. It was labor eternal, the work of shaping perfection from an imperfect galaxy. Rest? We were not made to rest. We go on, unflinching, unstoppable, unending in our strength. The Emperor did not make us for such mortal concerns as hearth and home, vanity or contemplation. We are his engines of war, his hammers, beating out the fabric of existence into a vessel fit for mankind to inhabit. Another quote from Ferrus Manus.
All the hammer and anvil analogies, hey?
Yeah.
Well, we think his Iron Hands is British, but actually, no, it's hammers and anvils for this guys.
So imagine him just with his hand just punching the metal against the anvil.
Yeah, exactly. Bending I-beams. Yeah. Fucking all right.
All right, let's get into Ferrus Manus during the Horus Heresy. The beginning of the Horus Heresy came to the Iron Hands not as revelation, but as corrosion. The slow, silent decay of trust that spread like rust through the Imperium's heart. When word reached them of Horus's rebellion, they did not weep or rage. They calculated, analyzed, and found no logic in such betrayal. To them, the galaxy itself seemed to falter, as if the machinery of empire had ground against its own gears. They had believed the Emperor's sons to be perfect instruments of his will, and now that perfection lay fractured, bleeding oil and blood in equal measure. Ferrus Manus saw in the treachery of Horus and his allies not only disobedience, but weakness, an infection of emotion, and pride that demanded excision. For the Iron Hands, the heresy was not merely war. It was the failure of flesh, the triumph of corruption over discipline, and the realization that even the gods, forged in iron, could break. Interesting. So it almost the heresy again almost had kind of religious undertones as well. They need purification.
Right.
Yeah.
They have lost their way.
What is that called when you flog yourself? Like spiritual
flagellation?
Yeah, self-flagellation.
Yeah,
Yeah, self-flagellation. Yeah.
Yeah. But he does have a soft spot, this guy. He's not all hammers, anvils, and just breaking Xeno's spines. He does have a friend, the Phoenician, Fulgrim. We talked a little bit about that relationship in the last episode and how tight they got, but then there was a little bit of falling out. And as we learned, we've done the Fulgrim episode. He falls to chaos with Horus. And yeah, this is where we kind of pick up our story again between these two friends. They're already on rocky grounds, and now who knows? As the War Master Horus began his treachery upon Istvaan V, the Forge World burned and the gears of Brotherhood ground to ruin. Ferrus Manus, the Gorgon of Medusa, was visited by his oldest and dearest friend, Fulgrim, the Phoenician, sent by the War Master to turn the Iron Hands from the path of loyalty. Aboard the Fist of Iron, within the echoing steel heart of the Anvilarium, the two Primarchs met each other beneath the glow of the forge fires and the hum of ancient machinery. Fulgrim came burdened with false hope, believing that friendship and shared triumphs could sway Ferrus to Horus's cause. He was wrong. The Iron Father's soul was the iron and his wrath absolute. When the truth of Fulgrim's corruption was revealed, the air itself seemed to seize in tension, machine spirits wailing in protest as Ferrus struck. His silver necrodermis hand sought to shatter Fireblade, Fulgrim's tainted sword, in the act of final judgment. The weapon's destruction birthed an explosion that threw Ferrus to the ground, his rage silenced by unconsciousness. Fulgrim stood over his fallen brother, the demon in his heart whispering for murder. In trembling conflict, the Phoenician raised Forgebreaker. His death comes, does it? No, just kidding, not yet. The hammer he had forged for Ferrus in the pure days, but the weight of kinship stayed his hand. Unable to slay the Gorgon, he took the hammer instead, a relic of bond, now broken, leaving behind Fireblade as a cruel echo of their friendship. Emerging from the sanctum, Fulgrim's command was wordless. His Phoenician guards struck, their halberds reaping the Iron Hands' murlocs in single mechanical rhythm of death. Captain Gabriel Santor barely survived the slaughter. Then came fire and betrayal. The pride of the Emperor and her escorts unleashed their guns upon the 52nd Expeditionary Fleet, tearing metal and men apart in brutal silence. As Ferrus laid amid the cooling forges, Fulgrim fled aboard the Firebird, vanishing into the warp. The sound of his departure was like a dying heartbeat of brotherhood forged in iron, and broken upon the anvil of heresy. Oh man, rough. You gotta hate it when your brothers betray you and then steal your favorite hammer. Fuck. Yeah, I love this book. I did read this Horus Heresy book. I think it's like book. I think it's book 4. This scene was very cool. How it all kind of played out, and even just the battle between the Murlocs and the Phoenix Guard there. It's just so like precise. Like you got the perfection of the Emperor's children, and like the Iron Hands also like their perfection. So you've got these kind of like perfect motions that are also almost mechanical,
Like they both like their perfections, but in different ways. Like we had said that Ferrus Manus is very much function first, whereas the Emperor's children very much are going to be a form first. They want it to look pretty and then be the best. Whereas for like the Iron Hands and Ferrus Manus, it needs to do the job the best. And if it looks good, well, that's just extra. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So Ferrus Manus walks out of his forge and just sees all his like Murlocs, which are like his first company honor guard or whatever in Terminator armor. They're all just slain. And I can only imagine he did one of those like Darth Vader, like, no, as he's like kind of like still concussed from getting knocked out by Fulgrim. Right. Like, yeah.
I do think it is cool, this dynamic too between Fulgrim and Ferrus Manus. Like we obviously have the betrayal of Horus and the traitor legions, but it is cool that they kind of wrote that in, that like Ferrus and Fulgrim sort of have a unique relationship among the brothers, and that this was like a personal betrayal, and it went beyond just like the wider ideological betrayal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And this was one of the very first like actual betrayals in this way. Maybe we could argue some Space Wolves got up to some shenanigans and wiped out the 2nd and 11th. Sure. But this is like the first time shots on other Space Marines really happen, and brothers are killing brothers like this.
Yeah, and especially like ones as close as the two of them. Like, like you say, with the second and 11th, right?
Yeah.
Like that wasn't that. They wouldn't have had that same kind of relationship. That was probably more of just a job, whereas this was, a very emotional betrayal.
Yeah, because like a lot of the other, like the loyal Primarchs, it seems to me like a lot of them didn't have much love for the traitor Primarchs. There was kind of like a lot of antagonism anyway, so it was like perhaps easier, except for like this one case. Maybe there's a couple others you can think of, but this one stands out in particular, that where like Fulgrim and Ferrus Manus are on either side of the aisle, but they were actually very close, and so that kind of makes it cut a little deeper.
Yeah, it seems like Fulgrim and Horus probably got along the best with like the general broad spectrum of all the Primarchs.
Yeah.
Anyway, were the most surprising betrayals.
Yeah.
All right. So speaking of betrayals, the drop site massacre. Rage beyond measure filled Ferrus Manus when word of Horus's betrayal reached him. It was a cold, mechanical fury, devoid of mercy, shaped by iron discipline and heartbreak. Through Rogel Dorn, the Emperor's will came. The traitors were to be destroyed. Ferrus and his sons would strike alongside the Salamanders and Raven Guard upon the ash-stained world of Istvaan V. A second wave of legions, the Iron Warriors, Night Lords, Alpha Legion, and Word Bearers, would follow to complete the annihilation. The Imperial fleet descended, engines roaring like a Forge World awakening, and the Loyalists made their planetary assault. Thousands of Stormbirds and drop pods tore through the heavens, falling like molten tears. Ferrus led from the front, his iron hands at his side, Vulcan's Salamanders on the left, Corax's Raven Guard on the right. 30,000 traitors awaited their blades. 40,000 loyal sons descended upon them. But Horus had already poisoned the ground they walked. Istvaan V became a foundry of death. The air screamed with the wail of titans, their steps crushing the earth as the machine god's creations waded through rivers of blood. Betrayed and betrayer clashed in the dust, their armor blackened by ash and their voices drowned by the thunder of war. The Dark Mechanicum, twisted priests of the Forge, unleashed stolen weapons of forgotten ages, their perverse engines grinding flesh and iron alike into ruin. Across the Urgal Depression, the dying fell in their thousands with every passing heartbeat. Yet the Loyalists pressed on, their fury hammering against the traitor lines. The front began to bend. The smallest turn of fate might have shattered it. From orbit came the second wave, the supposed reinforcements. Their Stormbirds screamed downward, bright and clean, a false promise of salvation. The Night Lords, Iron Warriors, Word Bearers, and Alpha Legion fell to ground, but they bore no loyalty to the Emperor. They came not as brothers, but as executioners. Their hearts were already given to the War Master and to darker gods waiting in the warp. They assembled in silence, untouched by battle, their blades sharp and ready for treachery. Still, the Iron Hands, Raven Guard, and Salamanders secured their landing zones amidst the ruin. Ferrus Manus, deafened by grief and wrath, ignored the cautious voices of Corax and Vulcan. He drove his sons forward, desperate to find Fulgrim and end the shame of brothers' betrayal in single combat. His Morlocks, the finest of the 10th Legion, clad in heavy plate and powered by vengeance, followed without hesitation. The plain became an anvil upon which 60,000 warriors beat one another to death. The air burned with plasma and hate. History would remember Istvaan V as both a grave of loyalty and the crucible of treachery.
Man, some of those numbers are wild.
There's so many people.
So many people.
Especially for like Space Marine numbers too. Like if a Space Marine is worth 100 like guardsmen or whatever, like multiply all those numbers by 100 for just the power that is contained in that battle.
Yeah. I like, Jordan, going back to what you kind of said about how the lines of Primarchs who fell and who didn't kind of was obvious. Like, like you look at Angron, it's obvious who that guy was going to choose. But there's a couple like Fulgrim, you're like, oh man, like you're named after the Emperor's children. Like seems like he shouldn't have fallen, but during this battle, man, it just seems like there was some details there that the commanders were missing. Like the Night Lords are coming to save you. The Night Lords, really? You're them? The Iron Warriors, you're gonna trust them, are you? And the Word Bearers. Like, yeah, there's some signs here that I think a more competent commander would have picked up on. But also, like, this was like, I remember reading these books and like it was just so unthinkable, so unheard of that a battle like this could happen. Like, we had 200 years of a Space Marine history, and not once does a Space Marine ever hurt another Space Marine, essentially. And then you get this out of nowhere. So it's just like so unexpected.
Yeah. All right. Let's get into the death of Ferrus Manus. Ferrus
Hold on.
stood...
There's a bit more fuss has to read.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. I just want to take a break there because it looked like this
Oh.
was a lot. Sorry. Upon the Urgal Heights, Fulgrim watched the storm of his brothers approach. The Phoenician's perfect smile wavered as he saw the wrath he had summoned. Ferrus, silver-handed and grim, wading through fire and ruin like a god of iron and sorrow. The reflection of forge fire gleamed upon his eyes, and for an instant Fulgrim recalled the brother he once loved. But that bond had been melted away, reforged into hatred and duty. Around the Primarch of the Emperor's children, his Phoenix Guard formed ranks, golden and radiant, awaiting the dark tide of the Iron Hands. They met in the ruins, steel upon gold. The Iron Hands smashed through barricades, their armor blackened and blood wet. Fulgrim's fixed smile faltered as he truly beheld what his treachery had wrought. The burning grief that had replaced his brother's humanity. The Morlocks advanced, relentless and cold. Lightning clawed the air from their gauntlets, red lenses burning like furnace eyes. The Phoenix Guard cried out in defiance, their halberds crackling with power as they met the storm. Sparks burst from every clash, a symphony of light and fury. And at the center of that tempest stood Fulgrim, waiting for the dark giant who strode through the fire unscathed. Ferrus had waited for this reckoning since the first whisper of betrayal. Here, in the forge of war, he would quench his vengeance or be destroyed in its making. For the sons of Medusa, only one truth remained: iron endures, even as brothers fall.
Yeah,
it's like this is very personal, the most personal.
Yeah, and as you see your brother fall to your left and to your right, you just harden yourself that much more. Just like that, not me next, and you just steal your resolve.
Yeah. The red lenses burning like furnace eyes got me. As somebody who looks into one every so often, like it is very bright and hot, and just like even standing a little bit close to it, like you can tell that there's all the power there. Yeah. Because like the inside of a forge is, can be upwards of 2,000 degrees. It is not something you want to mess with lightly.
Yeah, it's like this is almost like the first time they feel emotion, almost, but it's like
right.
it's not quite like they're not like losing their wits about them, but it's that burning like intensity for sure that they kind of get.
Yeah, it's like when you when you read in books and like somebody gets so angry that they get tunnel vision, and that's kind of like what this strikes me as, is just like a very focusing rage that
Hate
like
vision,
settles,
as they call it.
Yeah, or like some people get when they get angry, they get calm, and like that's how they're dangerous.
Ooh,
that just like that burning calmness, just that steady walk forward of like Ferrus Manus towards Fulgrim, that it's just like a predator walking towards you.
Yeah.
All right. Now that I gave you guys blue balls about the death of Ferrus Manus, let's do it. Ferrus stood before Fulgrim, the heat of battle still steaming from their armor. His voice like grinding steel. He mocked his brother's madness and betrayal, scorning the delusion and siding with Horus against the Emperor. The war, Ferrus declared, was already won. The war master's forces were broken, and the coming legions would crush the rebellion into dust. But Fulgrim's smile was distant and hollow. He shook his head slowly, as if pitying Ferrus's faith, and pointed toward the northern horizon. There, upon the Urgal plain, Ferrus saw the truth revealed. Fresh legions arrayed in perfect formation, their banners unscarred, their weapons ready. The supposed reinforcements were no allies. They were the jaws of the trap. For the first time, Ferrus felt the weight of betrayal settle upon him like cold iron. Dragging their wounded and dead, Korax and Vulcan led their surviving sons back toward the drop site. Weary and blood-caked, seeking the comfort of brotherhood, they called for aid over the Vox, their words met by silence upon the ridge. The newly landed legion stood motionless, watching. Then a single flare split the sky, a red wound of fire above the battlefield. A moment later, the air screamed with gunfire. Bolters thundered as the second wave turned their weapons on their supposed allies, slaughtering them without warning or mercy. The Raven Guard and Salamanders were torn apart in a storm of shells, the bodies of noble Astartes shredded and burned where they stood. Fulgrim laughed, a sound as hollow as an empty forge, watching Ferrus's horror as the trap closed and brother killed brother in the name of the War Master.
Yikes, man. Yeah. You just turn around, like you see all the Astartes kind of trying to reinforce himself, and then you have that realization, oh shit. They're not here to help. You see that meme ever online where it's like a little Imperial guardsman. He's like, "Oh, Space Marines have arrived," and then it shows a Space Marine. It has spikes on him, and you're like,
Yeah.
poor guy, poor guy. It's not your salvation."
I mean, that's literally the Warhammer plus animation Iron. I think it's called Iron Without. Is a world that is being attacked by Dark Eldar, and so they like do these like ancient rites of like prayer, sending messages out to a Space Marine Legion, and they come and they're like, "Yes, the Emperor's angels are here,"
Yeah.
and it's the Iron Warriors, and then yeah, like you see a guardsman make the sign of the Aquila to one of them, and he just like crushes his skull.
Yikes! Yeah, essentially that. Oh man.
Even as the royal ranks broke beneath the storm, the first wave of traitors turned again, the mask of false defeat stripped away. World Eaters, Death Guard, and Sons of Horus surged into the heart of the Iron Hands, their axes and bolters roaring. The warriors of Medusa fought like living machines, cold and unyielding, but they were surrounded and outnumbered. In the center of that storm, Ferrus Manus turned to face Fulgrim, his silver hands glinting with reflected flame. They leapt at one another, Ferrus with Fireblade, Fulgrim with Forgebreaker. The weapons they had, once forged together, now tools of ruin. Sparks screamed as hammer met sword, light flaring from every blow. Their duel was the death of a brotherhood, each strike and memory shattered and reforged in hate. Their armor cracked with their blood, hissed on scorched earth, and the air burned with grief. Blow for blow, the brothers wounded each other. Ferrus rose again, armor split, his body falling, but his resolve unbroken. He brought Fireblade high, shouting his brother's name, meaning to end the treachery in a single strike. But Fulgrim moved faster, drawing forth the alien blade he had taken from the Lair Temple, a weapon slick with the whispering power of the warp. The sword met Fireblade in a shriek of agony, its demonic will flooding Fulgrim's veins with unnatural strength. Ferrus's surprise turned to pain as the silver edge cut deep into his chest, piercing the iron shell that even the Emperor's forges could not save. He fell to his knees, breath ragged, Fireblade slipping from his grasp as the light dimmed around him. Fulgrim raised the sword to finish it, but something within him faltered. For an instant, the Phoenician saw what he had become, a hollow godling, enslaved to a cursed weapon and a darker purpose. Horror flooded him. He tried to drop the sword, to deny the act, but his hands no longer obeyed. The demonic thing hungered for blood and guided his strike. Ferrus reached for his blade once more, the metal answering his touch, fire rekindling in defiance, but the motion came too late. Fulgrim's body moved without his will, the blade sweeping forward in a single, perfect arc. The edge bit through flesh and ceramite, severing Ferrus Manus's head in one silent motion. The forge of Istvaan fell quiet. The Primarch of the Iron Hands lay still, his lifeblood darkening the ashen soil. Fulgrim's scream echoed across the battlefield, the cry of a soul breaking under its own weight. Around them, the Iron Hands were slaughtered to the last, their spirit crushed beneath the weight of betrayal. Only a few escaped the massacre to carry their grief into the stars. The 10th Legion was shattered, its heart sundered, its father slain. From that day onward, the Iron Hands would remember Istvaan, not as a battle, but as the death of their humanity. Until Games Workshop brings back Ferrus Manus.
You shut your whore mouth, Jordan.
We can only hope.
Nasty, yeah. That's just that. Like, Fulgrim realizes what he's done, and he had that moment where he's like, "Oh man!" And then he was gonna kind of stop or something. But yeah, nope, full possession at that point. So he kind of just gets taken over. So almost even at that point, 2 Primarchs die that day. You know, we lose Fulgrim pretty much completely. And even Horus talks about that later after this battle, where he looks into Fulgrim's eyes when he gives Ferrus Manus' head to Horus, and he's like, "That's not my brother."
Yeah.
I will say Ferrus Manus I find him to be like a one-note Primarch, but this was kind of a sweet, really cool scene. I think it was a great way to take him out, kind of a great crescendo in his story.
Yeah, like he didn't just get killed by a bunch of like Space Marines drowning him in lasgut or in bolter fire or whatever. Like, died to his only friend. Like he was close to other people, I guess, but I don't think he called him his friend.
Yeah, definitely like a really good death for a Primarch. Obviously it'd be nice. It would have been nice to have more story for Ferrus Manus to hopefully bring out, more than just that one note that a lot of people see in this character. I don't know. I think he's got a little bit more than that, especially with his whole kind of like inner conflict of, with his hands and his ability to create. Like, I am this great creator, and I need to, do that to the best of my ability. But the best of my ability is me relying on this crutch that was given to me by an enemy. And, how am I supposed to be the best that I can be when it's not me,
Yeah, like that's definitely a very unique addition for him that kind of just helps. Like, I talked a little bit about how when they kind of went and rewrote and fleshed out the Horus Heresy, they added some things to Ferrus Manus, like he was going to be War Master if it wasn't for Horus, and they added a couple things like that just to try to give him something since he died so early. But no, that quote, that kind of self-hatred, that's so cool. Like, I don't think other Primarchs feel that way about themselves. You know, they're gods. They master whatever they touch.
Yeah. And he is just so much about that, like, mastery of being human almost.
Yeah. Yeah. It's weird for somebody so cold and calculating like that, almost described as mechanical. Yeah, he's very concerned with his humanity. But he's gone
For now.
for now. Reboot Gilliman says this about this.
Everyone pour one out for Ferrus Manus.
That's
Oh,
right.
no. Yeah. OG. Reboot Gilliman says this about his brother's death. Now it seems he is gone. Gone. Dead. Brother, friend, warrior, leader, Ultramar's most stalwart ally. Yeah, like, people respected this guy. Like, I don't think a lot of people talk shit about him. You know, maybe they weren't like warm to him, but they're like, yeah, no, that guy's doing the Emperor's work, you know.
Yeah, I feel like him and Rogel Dorn had probably the strongest senses of an unwavering loyalty to the Emperor and to the Imperium.
Yeah. Because even like fucking Reboot Gilliman, like, he starts his own empire, you know. Sure, bend his arm, but yeah, he was very happy to start multiple empires, you know. When word reached Gilliman that Ferrus Manus had fallen alongside Vulcan and Corax, he grieved in silence. Of the three, it was Ferrus he mourned the most. The brother of iron and craftsman of worlds, the one whose loyalty had been as unbending as the forge-wrought hands. In the later years of the heresy, as Horus sank deeper into the black machinery of chaos and his sanity corroded, he took the skull of Ferrus Manus and set it upon his throne. The War Master spoke to it often, as if the silent iron face might answer. In those one-sided dialogues, Horus confessed his despair, that all he commanded were butchers and monsters, where once he had stood beside men of principle, of logic, of unbreakable will like Ferrus Manus. When the war within the Webray reached its terrible crescendo, the Emperor summoned forth the souls of his fallen sons to battle demons in his name. Among them, I think I rewrote this part twice. Sorry. No, I did not. Sorry. We'll carry on. Among them was Ferrus Manus, reborn as a burning reverend of silver fire. For a brief blinding moment, he fought once more beside his father. Later, in the dying hours of the Siege of Terra, Ferrus Manus appeared again before Sanguinius, aboard the warp-twisted carcass of the vengeful spirit. Whether apparition or truth, he claimed Horus has raised him from death as a mockery, a weapon of guilt to wound the angel's heart. Yet Ferrus, bound by duty even in death, guided Sanguinius through the ship's tormented corridors toward the final reckoning. His form endured longer than Horus had willed, and before fading, he wished his brother strength and victory. When the Emperor was struck down, a vision of Ferrus Manus appeared upon Medusa, his image shimmering amid static and storm. To the Iron Council, he spoke a warning. This is all bullshit. This is all just stupid bullshit that I'm reading right now. Whoever wrote this is an idiot, but I'm going to carry on. I don't know if you guys are digging this at all either, but I just feel like, wait, so this guy just is like a Luke Skywalker, or no, like a Yoda Force Ghost now? Just, like, what are we doing here? No one else has this ability. This guy wasn't a psyker. Like, what's happening? Anyways, his image shimmering amid static and storm. To the Iron Council, he spoke only of a warning, a great doom that was coming for mankind. Yet he promised that when that hour arrived, he would return to lead his sons once more into Crucible. The signal faded, leaving the forgers silent in his wake. Whispers have persisted ever since that Ferrus did not die on Istvaan. The Mechanicum carried his broken form to Mars and remade him. Clan Cargill believes utterly. They keep eternal watch upon the Karashi Heights, where the winds sing of iron spires like the breath of a sleeping god. The other clans say nothing, for through logic forbids hope. Still, it burns faintly in their hearts. 10,000 years later, a demonette of Slaanesh taunted Sergeant Name Morvox on Shardinius, claiming to have seen the head of Ferrus Manus, and that it still screamed. Yet, when the Great Rift tore open the galaxy, many among the Iron Hands felt the stirrings of prophecy fulfilled. In the forges of Medusa, the engines roared with renewed purpose. The wardens of Gorgon's forge labored without rest, deciphering their father's designs, believing against all data that soon the hammer will rise again, and the will fall again, and the Gorgon will rise. Oh man, yeah, that's all a new edition. When they wrote the Horus Heresy, and like I was saying, like they killed off a cool character, like because this setting was never supposed to be expanded. We weren't supposed to know anything. And then they put in stuff like this where it's just like, man, so he's just force ghosting all over the place. Why?
So I think there could be something cool there. I do think that they went a bit ham with it. But I do like the idea of like the Emperor like calling souls to fight for him against demons. Very like Norse, Valhallan warriors, fighting at the end of days. And Ferrus Manus being one of those. I think if they had just done that,
yeah,
that would have been fine. Because like the idea of, because when you die, your soul goes to the warp, and so the Primarch souls in theory would go there too, and his for lack of a better word, iron resolve keeps his soul stable in the warp, and so you could do something cool with that. But it does sound like they did a bit too much with it there.
I think you won me over on the Emperor calling him in the webway, because even that, he's like in this weird pseudo warp in between area, and Ferrus Manus will you check that box? I'm like, okay, so he could probably survive for a couple years in the warp. But then like you said, it happens one too many times. For 10,000 years, he keeps appearing to people. I saw him when I was taking a poop one night, I swear.
The iron poop.
The iron poop.
He appeared in my scrambled eggs.
Oh, man. All right. So Ferrus Manus was last seen amid the smoke and ruin of Istvaan V, swallowed by waves of shrieking traitors. His final moments were lost beneath the thunder of battle, and no signal or survivor ever confirmed his end. To the enemies of the Imperium, the death of the Gorgon was proclaimed a certainty. Another Primarch broken upon Horus's anvil of rebellion. But among the sons of Medusa, belief did not die so easily. No body was ever found, no relic recovered. The Iron Hands refused to accept his death, for iron endures, and their father had been forged from sterner metal than flesh alone. Some whispered that he yet lived, hidden and remade in secret forges upon Mars, his body reforged and his spirit bound in steel. Such tales are met with cold fury by the Iron Hands themselves, who reject all superstition not born of machine or logic. Their Primarch gone, the 10th Legion was left hollow, their purpose cracked like a shattered cog. In his absence, grief calcified into something harder, an unyielding conviction that weakness had slain their father, and that only the purity of iron could prevent such ruin again. When word reached them that the Emperor himself had fallen in mortal combat with the corrupted Horus, their despair deepened into silence. The galaxy became a tomb lit by the dying glow of their faith. For 10,000 years, the sons of Ferrus Manus have endured in that silence, unyielding, tireless, and cold. They have buried their sorrow beneath layers of steel, forging hatred into ritual and pain into creed. In every forge and fortress, the Iron Hands keep the memory of their lost father burning like a furnace that cannot be quenched. They wait still, without hope or despair, for the day when the Gorgon of Medusa shall rise again, reborn in metal, vengeance, and memory.
Yeah, like it's so rough for them because, as we mentioned, there's three kind of legions that got betrayed there. There was the Iron Hands, the Raven Guard, and the Salamanders. And, we didn't reveal the fate of those other two Primarchs, but yeah, they survived that drop site massacre.
Yeah.
So, to be the Iron Hands and then be like, we lost our dad, the other guys are still kind of kicking about, like, it's super tragic for them. Like, they just take it hard. But also, then they harden themselves.
Yeah, like going all in on that cold logic, just not letting any, just trying to get rid of all emotions and everything. Yeah,
Don't you cry, you little bitch. Don't you do it. Yeah. It's cool how their identity becomes the Legion without the Primarch. Lots of other legions lose their Primarchs. Maybe not lots of them, but a couple of them. But I don't feel like they take it as hard. Maybe the loyalist ones do. Like, I guess Sanguinius affects the Blood Angels pretty heavily when that happens.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I guess maybe it's more just when the Chaos guys lose their guys, they don't really give a shit.
Yeah, well, and for a lot of for most of the loyalists, it's like their Primarchs are gone, but like until a certain thing happens. So like with Russ with the Wolf Time, Khan is fighting through the webway or whatever. Gilliman was in stasis. It's a lot of like our Primarch is MIA more than KIA.
Yeah.
With the exception of obviously like Sanguinius, like yes, he is fucking dead.
He's dead. Yeah, but like it just doesn't seem like they take that. Like, yes, they were affected more like spiritually or genetically. No, yeah, they're affected more genetically, where like the Iron Hands are almost affected more like spiritually.
Yeah, it's like they were built on this idea of perfection, and they saw that idea of emotion. Ferrus Manus died to his friend. If he hadn't allowed himself to have a friend, maybe he wouldn't have died, kind of a
thing. Well, that's the life lesson to take away from this episode.
Right? No friends, they only betray you.
Yeah.
All right, shall we get into the Sapphire King? It was at the instant Ferrus Manus's head was severed by his brother's blade that the thing later called the Sapphire King came into being. From the psychic shockwave of the Gorgon's death, the daemon was forged. A creature born of molten pride, repressed grief, and sorrow that no forge could contain. It was not a being of fire, but of reflection, the mirror of all that Ferrus Manus had denied within himself. From that moment it fed upon the Iron Hands' unspoken despair, their wordless mourning, their endless efforts to replace pain with machinery. Bound to them by their silence, the entity grew stronger as the sons of Medusa buried emotion beneath metal. Across the centuries, it whispered to them in machine code and static, offering salvation that was only self-destruction. The more they purged the flesh, the deeper its claws sank, until even their purity became another form of damnation. It's sort of ironic that in a kind of twisted way, Ferrus Manus created this demon.
Yeah.
It was now going to haunt the Iron Fists for all eternity. After the campaign against the Orc incursion, known as the Weird War on the Forge World of Columnus in 249 M41, disquiet spread through the Iron Council. Iron Father Christos' cold logic had turned strange, his decisions calculated with a precision that no longer seemed human. By 260 M41, dissent had hardened into suspicion, and the council convened the Christosian conclave to judge one of their own. What began as a rational audit dragged on for centuries, gears grinding slow beneath the weight of endless scrutiny, while the demon waited and watched, patient as rust. By 460 M41, the conclave reached its breaking point, and the Sapphire King struck. The Iron Hands became hollow engines of will, with each a vessel filled with repressed fire, needing only a spark to ignite. The spark was lit on Gardenia Prime. There, Iron Father Christos gathered 800 of his brothers, the largest mustering since the heresy, with Clan Raucan at his head. They descended upon the world in the name of reason and order, unaware that they were marching into the jaws of the machine-born god that had haunted them for 10 millennia. On Gaudinia Prime, the trap was sprung. The Sapphire King revealed itself amidst shrieking demons and the laughter of the Emperor's children. Christos was unmade, body and soul fused into the abominations he had sought to control. The Christosians followed their logic shredded by ecstasy, their flesh twisted into chrome monstrosities. Warp breaches tore the sky, and from them poured engines of blasphemy that screamed in the voice of Medusa's dead. At the heart of the ruin strode demon itself, gleaming like a jewel cut from Ferrus Manus' shame. In that crucible of despair, Iron Father Cardon Stronos saw the truth. The denial of emotion had not made them strong. It had made them hollow, ripe for corruption. Only by mastering their emotions, not erasing them, could they resist the warp's call. Over the Vox, his voice rang out like the hammer on an anvil, commanding his brothers to unleash their fury, not hide from it. Across the field, inhibitor protocols fell silent. The Iron Hands soared as one, their rage no longer denied, but harnessed. The air shook with their fury as they tore into demons and traitors alike. Their anger vented like steam from a ruptured boiler. The Sapphire King howled as the emotional pressure sustaining it was released, its form shattering under the force of a liberated will. When the silence returned, only wreckage remained. The demon was annihilated, its essence scattered into the void. The Emperor's children were butchered, their corruption burned from the soil in orbital fire. In the ashes of Gaudinia Prime, the Iron Hand stood once more, scarred, smoking, unbroken. From that day onward, they learned that iron alone is not enough to endure. It must be tempered by the fire within, or it will rust from the inside out. Ferrus Manus looked down, a smile on his face.
My children, you finally learned. Yeah. It's a fun little story, this one. You know, we get the perfect example of how the warp and your emotions kind of interact. Like, I love that aspect of, like, you know, they took this so hard that, you know, while the Blood Angels, they kind of affected themselves, they affected something in the warp, the Iron Hands. They made this, like, demon that ultimately was their redemption. Maybe not their redemption, but starts leading them on their redemption arc.
Yeah, it teaches them a hard lesson. And like I said, like that reflection aspect of it, I thought was really, really cool. And I also was thinking of like how even crueler of a reflection it would be if, like, when they actually like met and fought the Sapphire King, if it actually looked like Ferrus Manus too.
Ooh,
like it is just the embodiment of like all of their like sorrow and hardening and resistance, but you know, because of their Primarch, that it looked like him.
Yeah, just headless, of course.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. No, that'd be a cool shape for him to take for sure. Yeah, this was a fun one. Yeah, like it. The warp's just weird, man. You can have so many weird interactions. I bitch and moan about bringing Primarchs back, but then like you get the warp, and all of a sudden, like, well, I'm listening. So we'll go to the Drorar obelisk next. On the 18th day of Nureg, the Guardian of Terra descended upon Drorar, and the heavens burned with starfire as several golden vessels pierced the void. The sons of Medusa knelt beneath his shadow, their iron wills bending to the word of their avenging son. He brought command and covenant, yet it was the gift of bone that the Iron Hands received and revered. Thus, the patriarch reunited with his sons, and the bond forged in steel and lost sealed. The Imperium of Man, for a brief moment, was whole again, though the memory of fracture remained in every strike of hammer upon anvil. That was a quote. I didn't put who said that, but somebody said that at one point, I'm assuming. Ondrar Inquisitor Kinbad, accompanied by the enigmatic figure known as Scarborn, uncovered an obelisk of ancient stone, inscribed with the terms of a pact between Gilliman Dorn and the shattered remnants of the Iron Hands. In obedience to the emerging codex, the legions was granted the skull of Ferrus Manus, a relic of both sorrow and solemn authority. How the Primarch had recovered it is lost to time and silence, as if the void itself had claimed the memory. As of M41, it is said that Ferrus's skull rests at the heart of the Eye of Medusa, upon which the altar watched by the Hellfather, who neither eats nor sleeps, whose eyes never close, keeping eternal vigil over the remains of the Gorgon. Yeah.
Is that the canon current like standing for Ferrus Manus that his skull is on Medusa?
Yeah, that's pretty much what I could find. Yeah.
Okay, because it seemed like it went back and forth.
Yeah, like it went to Mars. Some people were saying, and
some people were saying that like that nothing was ever recovered, and now now that I like that they have it. I like that they have the skull. But I did also think that the idea of Horus having the skull of one of his most like trusted and loyal brothers and like talking to it, just like sitting there talking to the skull like, you were too good for this world, I'm sorry, like
yeah, my precious little Ferrus,
right?
Yeah. Do you think it would have been cooler if Fulgrim took the skull or the hands?
Good point.
As a trophy.
I was thinking about the hands and something else. I think it'd be cooler if Horus has the skull and they recovered the body. Also, just a random thing I was thinking about when we were talking about the fight between Fulgrim and Ferrus Manus is because it says his sword cuts through the ceramite, but could it have cut through his hands? Like, imagine if like Ferrus Manus had caught the blade in his hands. Because it says his hands are stronger than ceramite.
Yeah,
it's like catches the blade and shatters it. I just thought that would have been cool as shit. Too bad they did him dirty, but
yeah, dirty. Yeah, no, that would have been a cool moment. Yeah, like just that oh shit moment as you catch somebody's sword with your bare hand and you smash it.
Right.
Oh shit.
That'd be so good. I should work for GW writing these things.
Fuck yeah, you're better than whoever came up with the apparition Magnus. I'll tell you that, Manus.
So I need them to keep the bad writers on so I can take their bad ideas and make them better. That's what
yes. It's easier to be a diamond when there's the rough,
right. I will polish their turds. All right. So speaking of things that could have happened to Ferrus Manus, after the drop site massacre, the unsteady Fulgrim commanded Fabius Bild to reproduce the form of Ferrus Manus. Yet each attempt faltered, the clones unstable, their will unbroken. None would betray the Emperor. In each failure, Fulgrim's rage and despair deepened, and the act of slaying these fragile echoes of his brother drove him further into madness. Separately, a sect of zealous Iron Fathers, calling themselves the Cult of the Gorgon, sought to restore their lost Primarch in the years before the Siege of Terra. In defiance of the authority of Shadrach Medusan, and the remaining Iron Hands, they grafted one of Ferrus's metallic arms onto a massive, armored, and cloaked mechanical construct, striving to bind it to their will. The shameful effigy of the Gorgon, a hollow mockery of their father, was swiftly ended by Vulcan, its pieces scattered, a reminder that the Primarch's legacy could not be forged from imitation or heresy. All right, so it sounds like they did recover the body if they had at least one of his iron hands.
Yeah, that's fucking sweet.
Yeah.
Do you think it's limp? Like if you're like waving around, it's like this, the thing, or does it remain stiff now?
I mean, yeah.
This is
I think we'll just say rigor mortis set in long enough.
okay,
But it's-
We'll taxidermy it.
yeah,
yeah, pretty cool. Clones are a thing in 40k, which is wild. Like Primarchs have been cloned a lot. Horus was cloned a whole bunch. What an
Yeah.
easy way to bring a Primarch back all of a sudden. Like, this is they.
Are there
Just
other clones like have this? Are they like a 1-for-1 clone? Or are they kind of the integrity of the clone is a little degraded?
In 40k, it seems like what happens to clones is they suffer horrific luck. So it is a 1-to-1, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Like even in this, like
They're
it's
like affected by the warp in some weird way.
yeah, you get sent to a war zone and you get shipped the rotten rations, and you're like, fuck,
Yeah.
and then you starve to death. Like that's the fate of the clones in 40k, stuff like that. You get the malfunctioning hand grenade that blows up in your hand, the one in the million.
Yeah.
So, but like, yeah, even his will, like Ferrus Manus's will was maintained in this cloning process where it wouldn't break no matter what you do, no matter how many times it cloned him. It still is Ferrus Manus. Like,
yeah.
yeah. But yeah.
No, I'll talk about it later. Let's finish up with the notes.
Yeah, we'll go into the possible returns. These were some things GW's written and kind of seeded a little bit of just like, yeah, you could make a weird fucking abomination cloak one-handed monstrosity, I suppose. But there's some better ways to do it, and I think they'll bring him back. I would be surprised if in 10 years he wasn't brought back. It just seems to be the direction they're going. So here's some ways that they could do it. I was kind of thinking of like, what are the themes that I would like to see if you bring them back, and these are kind of the summary of what I'd kind of like to see.
Okay. So we got some key narrative hooks. One is the tragic one. He returns but cannot reclaim what was lost. His sons are scattered and the Imperium is fractured. Another hook would be the industrial. His rebirth would be a fusion of man, machine, and forge work, echoing the Iron Hand's philosophy. And the final one would be a stoic one return. He would not return as a warmonger or deus ex machina. He returns as a measure, principle, judgment, and inevitable reckoning.
Yeah, so these, however you bring them back, like you almost need these in his backstory, where there has to be that element of tragedy still, where it's like, his brother killed him, like he's still upset about that. That industrial thing, like Purge was talking earlier about what's the purpose of all the Primarchs and what would be Ferrus Manus's purpose after the war, and we kind of settled upon maybe some like logistical kind of guy where he's just managing movements of things or whatever, maybe building the odd thing, but yeah, so you kind of need that little bit of industrial kind of logistical thing. And then stoic, like he's coming back, and like he's not changed. Ferrus Manus does not change. He is who he is. We're like, when we're talking about Rogel Dorn, we're like, yeah, it'd be sweet if Rogel Dorn came back and he was pissed and he comes back like a Black Templar, where that's not Ferrus Manus. That's not his style.
Yeah, I like the tragic one, like of him coming back, seeing not only the Imperium has lost its way, but his own like legion has lost its way as well.
Yeah, like he's just like, man, this is not it. So, the Mars restoration theory. Ferrus Manus's body was secretly salvaged after Istvaan V by loyal Mechanicum forces. Hidden in a secret forge on Mars, his body is rebuilt, reinforced with bionics and implants even beyond what he had in life. This aligns with the Iron Hand's ideology: flesh is weak, machine is eternal. The narrative could depict the Primarch reborn as the ultimate apex of the Legion's ideals. Could be introduced as a slow reveal, strange new reports of Iron Hand's war engines with impossible creations, leading to speculation about the Primarch's return. Yeah, so just kind of I've read this one a lot, where for a long time we didn't know what happened to the head or any parts of his body. And people were just saying, well, what if they found that they do things to him? It's okay.
Yeah, this reminds me of another one I've heard of. I didn't look to see if it was any farther down, but basically using like the parts of Ferrus Manus they recovered to make like a Primarch dreadnought.
Oh yeah. Sure.
Which would be a mechanicus thing to do.
Yeah. The only thing I don't really like about that is like in 30K times, like the Iron Hands and the Mechanicum, they weren't like that close. Like, yeah, they were close, I suppose, but like they didn't have that relationship. I just don't know why the Mechanicum would find that Primarch's body and do all this for him. Like, but maybe after 1,000 years they find it and then they do it after they're a little closer. But whatever.
Yeah, that would be my guess. Is like they find it and hold on to it because even like I feel like even then the Iron Hands were still going towards that or in that flesh is weak thing. And more mechanically minded, so they could see that as a possibility. And maybe even like as I'm just going to go off on a little tangent here, but even as like a political thing. So like they find the Primarch's body, they know it's the Primarch of the Legion that would have the closest Mechanicum, like loyalties or ties, and they use their technoscience, their technomancy to bring back the Primarch. As a Primarch who is now loyal to the Mechanicus, over the Imperium a little bit more.
Yeah. I'll tell you how that ends, and Fulgrim will tell you the same thing. You ain't breaking Ferrus Manus. Like, he's doing the Emperor. But they can try. They can try.
That would be their goal, and then, yes, it would absolutely backfire on them. Another one is Psychic Resurrection via the Warp. Ferrus's immense psychic imprint could allow him to return as a partially manifested warp spirit temporarily anchored to the material realm. He could appear during a galaxy-shattering conflict, maybe during the Great Rift or another warp breach, allowing the Iron Hands to fight under him again. This would retain his tragic weight. He is not fully alive, tethered to machinery and suffering in the Imperium, giving him a spectral, almost demon-like quality. So sort of like Ferrus Manus is like the greatest demon engine.
Yeah. It almost even bleeds a little bit into like the Legion of the Damned idea that Purge keeps yelling about in the chat, where he comes back as like a warp ghost essentially, and it's not a permanent thing, and he might only be there for an hour, and then he's gone for another 100 years, and he comes back. Like, that might be all you get. But yeah, the warp ghost idea is an interesting one. I
think you could combine some of these two to be interesting. Like they sort of rebuild a body based off of what they're able to find. So they've got like his Iron Hands and some of his body, but some of it's cyborg parts. And even like throw his skull on there for good measure, and his skull being there is what allows his spirit to occasionally inhabit and like bind to this new body. But like you said, it's every so often. So like, they do it and it works, and he's there for maybe, 10 years. And then just the link is weakened and it severs. And then 200 years later, he comes back for another like 10 years or 5 years or whatever.
That's a cool image you're painting in my mind, just of like this construct that they built, just sitting on his like iron throne, motionless for centuries. And then all of a sudden his eyes flick open.
Yeah.
Kind of cool. I like that kind of thought of combining those two. That kind of seems like that would be the most sense. You get this weird abomination Primarch too, which would be cool. It'd be very different than the other ones that have kind of come out.
Yeah, I feel like he would have even more of that self-hate because now he's even more machine.
Yeah, you wouldn't like that, but it's 40K, bitch. You don't get what you want.
Right.
Yeah. Next one we have is we've mentioned a little bit cloning. The cloning gone right though.
Yes, sir. Instead of Fulgrim's failed attempts, a more competent Mechanicum faction could reconstruct Ferrus from preserved gene seed, cybernetics, and partial remains. This could create a Ferrus Mark II, so to speak, part man, part machine, part archaeotech relic, a perfect yet unsettling echo of the original. Some story potential. The Iron Hands struggle with whether this being is truly Ferrus or just a simulacrum.
Yeah, that's a fun one. Like,
I like that a lot too. Yeah.
yeah, like, yeah, you are Ferrus Manus in all respects, except we don't know you. You're not him. Yeah, that's a fun one. Just creating that like
Kind of
tension
an
within the Legion. Yeah.
Oh,
like
yeah. I like
uncanny valley kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I like that tension too. You could have, and even with other Primarchs in the Legions too, of you've been gone for 10,000 years. You didn't have to go through everything we did. And that kind of reckoning of, are we the same Legion that you led 10,000 years ago?
Yeah. Like he's looking across his men and like, hey, that guy's a full-on cyborg over there. That guy, I only see his brain left. Like the rest has been replaced. Like this is not it.
Yeah, and they're all like, "What the fuck do you know? You've been dead for 10,000 years. You don't know. You don't know me, Dad."
You went to the store. And
Oh,
never came
would
back.
the Iron Fists be like that emotional about it? Like, would they not just be okay? Well,
I mean, maybe,
yeah.
because it does say that, that they are moving away from just expunging emotion and mastering. Like for any start, it's very much like the Vulcans in Star Trek. Vulcans have extremely strong emotions. They just have a very good handle on them. So and maybe this is the thing that breaks that too. Maybe Ferrus Manus coming back, it like opens that floodgate for them to be like, fuck, it's been forever. You're back. Like, what do we do fucking now?
Yeah.
you follow your Primarch, bitch.
Right.
All right. Great Crusade Part 2. The next one is an artifact focused resurrection. So we kind of mentioned. I'll just sum this one up. You take his skull and you shove some warp essence into it. Like you take his hands and now you got a piece of him and hopefully you can do something with it. We kind of that kind of is a blend of all of them. But that one's really just like more specific to finding a specific part of them. And then the final one I can just quickly summarize because it's the worst out of all of them that I was kind of reading. And it's just like a full-on just retcon where Ferrus was never truly killed. And, he escapes and then
Of course.
went underground or he was trapped or he was captured or whatever. And he finally escapes 10,000 years later. But man, you have to rewrite so much at this point to make something like that happen.
Yeah, that's no.
It was just a mythic propaganda spread by the traitor legions that he actually cut his head off.
At the last second, he was kidnapped by Trazen and didn't actually die.
By Trazen. yeah, he's the Baroque Primarch that Trazen has.
Yeah.
That's okay. I'm in. Fuck. Yeah. And the final one is I'll go a little more into the Legion of the Dam and just my thoughts on it real quick. Legion of the Dam are kind of like these warp ghosts, essentially. They're hard to explain, but they will appear. And they're these flaming Astartes, and they seem to disappear as well after the battle. And you can't talk to them, you can't really do nothing, but they come in the most dire of moments and they save you. So lots of people are saying that he should be the Primarch. Ferrus Manus should be the Primarch of the Legion of the Damned. But you don't need a Primarch for the Legion of the Damned. Like he could be a part of it, sure, I guess, but like the Legionnaires, they're not made from the Primarch, So it's kind of like having a Primarch, but he's not the Primarch of it. But he could be a part of it. We got some good GW has put some good suggestions in there with he does have a warp ghost out there. His will is maintaining itself. So yeah, this one could very well happen. But
yeah, I think there's a lot of good bits they could pull at. There's a lot of potential there, and part of me wants it to happen. Like I honestly like almost of any of the Primarchs that are gone, I want Ferrus Manus to come back because he didn't get any of the really good lore evolution like all the other ones had. And so just, throw him that bone, just give him something. You know,
something.
and again,
Yeah,
I think
because,
there's
in 40K, it's all about equality and fairness. We do know that.
I always want more lore. But again, I do think there are also some really cool things they could do with it. Like we talked about, with like him, shoving his soul into a partially formed body or whatever.
Yeah. No,
There are cool
I could get behind that. Like if he comes back as some like twisted form where it's like, yeah, you're uncomfortable to be around him. Like just like if Layman Russ comes back, I want him to be a wolfen. I want him to be a werewolf. He has been in the warp for thousands of years. He's a werewolf now. Okay, guys, just deal with it. Just like Raven Guard is a warp raven ghost shadow guy. Like Korax is out there just a shadow now. Like these types of Primarchs are cool. So to bring him back as like some type of abomination or just a full on like tank or dreadnought or just like that kind of vehicle, that'd be cool too.
Yeah. It's something like not just could clash with his Legion, but clash with the other Primarchs that are back. Like, I think it was Gilliam, and even like when he came back was like, this isn't the Imperium that we were building. And then, one of his brothers is back now, and say Ferrus Manus comes back, with some warp twist to him or something like that. And, the other Primarch's like, I'm glad you're back, but you're not the brother that we knew, And so there's that even extra layer of tension there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I like it. Yeah, in the chat, they say it's assured GW will... or let's assume GW will pick the worst option, That's probably what will happen. That seems to be the going trend, but whatever. It's a fun story nonetheless, man. He's got some classic mythos in him. It's a shame he wasn't around longer, but also in his death, that's what forges his Legion into what they are and what they shouldn't be ultimately. Like, if Ferrus Manus survived, they wouldn't be going down that path of what they are now. So that's kind of fun.
Yeah. Sometimes I don't know. Sometimes it irks me when like a character's only purpose is to like further the plot of another character. It's like Ferrus Manus was there just to die for Fulgrim's character to be developed more.
Oh, what? So you're saying you don't like Jesus now too? What? Huh?
Correct.
Demon? How dare you?
Yes, I'm Jewish.
Well, okay. Yeah. No. I see what you're saying about that. Like, yeah, but whatever. Fun. Jordan, what do you think? Dead, alive? Do you want? He's gone forever. Do you want some monstrosity back or
no? Just, I mean, I don't mind. Yeah, like a ghost or something like that. Maybe a clone, but I think he should just be gone. Just no, he can't come back.
Yeah, and then even after 10,000 years, like his warped spirit should have faded by now or been eaten. Like,
yeah,
or be twisted horrifically somehow at the very least. Like if it's still there, it's something different.
Yeah, totally.
Very cool.
Especially when you die in the way he died. Like it should be final. Just
your head was cut off by a Primarch wielding a chaos sword.
Yeah. Like it wasn't like he mysteriously went missing in battle. It wasn't it wasn't maybe like a ship crash, but no one actually saw him die. It was like, no, he clearly died.
Yeah, and then Horus talks to his skull.
Yeah.
Like,
right. So good.
Yeah. Do you think the flesh was still on the skull at that point, or like?
Sure.
Okay, sweet, awesome.
At least at the beginning, and then it slowly just rotted off.
Yeah, it's more homely that way. It's a little more like endearing for Horus to be talking to a flesh skull, Good times. Well, that was a fun episode. What do you say about the guy who's dead? Rip, I guess.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. motherfucker. Well, that was that episode. The next two episodes will be about the Iron Hands 30K Legion and 40K chapter. Should be pretty fun. I haven't done the notes yet for them, so and like we've mentioned a bunch that like the Iron Hands seem to be one of the more like underdeveloped chapters, you know. So it'll be interesting to learn more about them. I know they came out with a couple like codexes and stuff, and they do have a couple books now. So maybe I'll get my hands on one of them before
I think they just got a model refresh too, so maybe that bodes well for them. I don't know.
Yeah, like they're definitely becoming more popular, but yeah, they just don't have enough yet. You know, you kill the Primarch so early, then they're just kind of left lingering. But anywho, that's neither here nor there. End of the show. Shout outs. Maybe no call-ins. I feel like sometimes the call-ins, like unless someone specifically wants to say something, I don't know, whatever. Fuck it. Maybe next time. Maybe we'll do a call-in specific episode about Primarchs where you can just all tell me your crazy theories and stuff. Maybe that's a good way to do it.
That could be a good like end to the Primarch series after you
Yeah.
do all of them. Just do a crazy Primarch tinfoil hat call-in episode.
Yeah, exactly. Just talk to me about whatever Primarch. Now that we have it all out on the table, we can go ham. But come check out Lorehammer Listener Lore Podcast. You can submit your homebrew lore there, and I sometimes will read it out. And there's almost like 200 stories out there. So keep submitting, and maybe I'll keep reading, and life will be nice.
And of course, don't forget to check out the Star Lores podcast with Christian and I, where we talk about the Star Wars universe and all the fun lore that was introduced to us prior to the Disney acquisition in the expanded universe. So go check that out.
Yes, sir. And if you want to check for Fuzz Blacksmith Forging, is there any way we can do that? Do you have like an Instagram of what you work on?
I have a Facebook page for my business that I post pictures on. That's where I post the most pictures. Is if you look for Stout Hammer Forge on Facebook. In theory, I guess I could do an Instagram for it, and then also I've made some videos on Stout Hammer Forge on YouTube.
Stout Hammer Forge, very cool, man. Yeah, go check that out because there's something just like mesmerizing about watching a big bearded man beat metal. I'll tell you what.
I appreciate it. Yeah, and let me know if there's anything people like want me to try to make too.
Yeah. Well, cool. We will see you all on the next episode of Lorehammer. Adios.